In today's video, we're sharing a heartwarming story about an unexpected encounter that changed a woman's life forever. It's a powerful reminder of the impact kindness can have, even in the most unlikely moments. The story begins with Barack Obama, who, after wrapping up a conference in Philadelphia, took the time to connect with someone in need, Angela, a homeless veteran who had fallen through the cracks of society. What started as a simple, unplanned interaction between the two soon sparked a series of life-changing events. Obama's decision to help Angela, without hesitation or fanfare, turned into a profound act of kindness that not only offered her hope, but set her on a path toward a brighter future. Stay with us as we dive into how one man's compassion transformed a life, and how we can all make a difference when we choose to act with empathy and care. The sun was beginning to set over Philadelphia as Barack Obama wrapped up yet another successful conference, his mind likely racing with the day's discussions and the political intricacies that lay ahead. Yet, as always, his true passion wasn't in the boardrooms or on the grand stages. It was in the quiet, unassuming moments, connecting with everyday people. Even amidst the bustling energy of the city, Obama found solace in walking the cobblestone streets, where the hum of life felt real and raw. The city, with its historic brick buildings and the gentle rustle of leaves in the evening breeze, seemed to pause for a moment as he strolled along, blending in among the locals. As Obama wandered through the neighborhood, his eyes fell on a figure seated alone on a tattered blanket near the corner of a brick building. It was Angela, a homeless woman, clutching a cardboard sign that read, "Veteran, need help." Her head was bowed, a quiet sadness in her demeanor, yet there was a stillness about her that stood in stark contrast to the bustling surroundings. The street around her seemed indifferent to her presence, but Obama, ever attuned to the lives of those on the margins, felt drawn to her. There was something in her vulnerability, in the years of hardship etched into her weathered hands and tired eyes, that made him pause. This wasn't just another street corner. It was a chance for a connection, for a moment of humanity that he couldn't ignore. As the crowd moved past, oblivious to her, Obama made his way toward her, the sound of his footsteps soft but purposeful on the cobblestone. As Obama approached, he could feel the weight of Angela's gaze, even before she looked up. There was something in her stillness that spoke volumes, something that made him instinctively pause. Without hesitation, he crossed the street, his steps purposeful but gentle, as if to let her know she wasn't invisible. Standing in front of her, he greeted her with a warmth that immediately softened the air. "Good evening," he said, his voice calm, exuding a sense of genuine interest. Angela slowly lifted her head, her eyes meeting his. For a brief moment, there was only silence between them, a silence that spoke of lives untold, of struggles hidden beneath layers of pride and pain. But then, recognition flickered across her face, and her lips parted in disbelief. "Oh my God, she stammered, her words trailing off in surprise. Obama smiled slightly, his expression both reassuring and disarming. "Yes, I am," he said gently, cutting her off with a modest chuckle. "No need for formalities." Angela blinked, still trying to process the reality of the moment. After a beat, Obama crouched down before her, his posture open and non-threatening. "What's your name?" he asked softly. "Angela," she replied, her voice hesitant, as if unsure of what was about to unfold. "Angela," Obama repeated, as if to affirm her existence. He leaned in slightly, his tone both respectful and compassionate. "What brings you here?" Angela's gaze flickered nervously toward the growing crowd around them. The attention was starting to build, whispers starting to rise, but she couldn't escape the pull of his kindness. Her shoulders sagged slightly, and she let out a heavy sigh. "Life happened," she muttered. "I served my country for 12 years in the army, came back to nothing. No family, no support. Just this," she said, gesturing vaguely to her worn clothes, the dirty pavement, and the cold street that had become her home. Obama's expression softened, his gaze steady as he listened to her. "Thank you for your service," he said with quiet sincerity. "You deserved better than this." His words hung in the air for a moment, but Angela, despite the raw pride and pain in her eyes, merely shrugged. "Guess life doesn't owe you much, huh?" she said, her voice tinged with bitterness. "But sometimes it gives back," Obama said quietly, his words carrying a quiet promise. For a moment, neither spoke, Angela processing his kindness, and Obama simply waiting, hoping to give her the space she needed. Obama's gaze never left Angela as she spoke, and his expression remained steady, full of empathy. He could see the exhaustion in her eyes, the weight of years of struggle and disappointment that no words could truly capture. But what he also saw was potential. A life that deserved more than the cold streets and the isolation she had been left to endure. He knew, without a doubt, that this was a moment where action had to speak louder than words. After a pause, Obama's voice softened, but his words were firm, filled with resolve. "Angela, you don't have to do this alone. I'm going to help you," he said with quiet certainty, his eyes unwavering. Without missing a beat, Obama pulled out his phone from his jacket pocket and dialed a number with practiced ease. His fingers moved quickly, his voice steady as he spoke into the receiver. "Hello, it's Barack," he said, his tone authoritative yet filled with compassion. "I need a favor, immediately." The murmurs from the growing crowd grew louder, their curiosity piqued by the unexpected turn of events. Whispers spread like wildfire. What could Obama possibly be planning? As Obama continued his conversation, the crowd shifted, a mix of anticipation and excitement in the air. Onlookers watched, some pulling out their phones, eager to capture the moment. Angela, meanwhile, sat frozen, her hands clenched tightly in her lap, trying to process what was unfolding before her. She could hear bits of the conversation, a few words here and there, just enough to understand that Obama was arranging something for her. The tension in the air was palpable, as people wondered what kind of help Obama was arranging, how far his commitment would go, and whether it was all too good to be true. Obama remained calm, speaking firmly into the phone, ensuring that the resources needed for Angela's immediate care were being mobilized. His focus was unwavering, his mind already working on how to turn this moment into real, tangible change. Just as Obama ended the call, the sound of an approaching car broke the tension in the air. A sleek black car pulled up to the curb, its engine quietly purring to a stop, signaling that the wheels of change were already in motion. The crowd grew even more restless, their murmurs rising in volume, eager to see what would happen next. A sharply dressed man in a suit emerged from the car, his demeanor calm and professional, yet his steps purposeful. He moved quickly toward Obama and Angela, offering a respectful nod to the former president before turning to Angela with a warm smile. "Ma'am," he greeted her, "I'm David. We've arranged a temporary shelter for you tonight, and we'll work to find something more permanent for you in the coming days." Angela, still processing the enormity of what was happening, looked at David with wide eyes. She was struggling to understand how a moment of such uncertainty had suddenly transformed into a promise of hope. Obama stood up from where he had been crouched beside her, his hand gently resting on her shoulder as he spoke. "Angela, you deserve so much more than this," he said, his voice steady and compassionate. "You've given so much to this country, and it's time for this country to give back to you." His words held weight, not just as a leader, but as a fellow human who understood the power of dignity and compassion. As the realization began to settle in, the crowd around them erupted into applause, their cheers echoing through the streets of Philadelphia. People began to step forward, offering Angela everything from warm clothes to cash. all wanting to be a part of this unexpected moment of kindness. Strangers who had once walked by without a second thought now stood with open hands and hearts, moved by the sight of one woman being given the help she so clearly deserved. It was as if the energy of the crowd had shifted, fueled by the hope that this moment wasn't just about Angela. It was a testament to what happens when people choose to show up for one another, when compassion outweighs indifference. The next morning, Angela awoke in a soft, warm bed, the comfort of the mattress beneath her feeling almost foreign, yet undeniably soothing. She blinked a few times, taking in her surroundings: a clean room, a neat chair with freshly folded clothes, and sunlight streaming through the window, casting a gentle glow on the space. For a moment she thought she might still be dreaming, but the reality of the room, the quiet hum of life outside, told her otherwise. She touched her face, tears threatening to spill as the weight of what had happened settled in. This wasn't a dream. This was real, and she was safe. A soft knock at the door interrupted her thoughts, and she hesitated before answering. The door opened to reveal David, the man from the night before, and a woman in a smart suit, carrying a clipboard. "Good morning, Angela," David greeted, his voice bright and warm. "I hope you slept well." Angela nodded, still overwhelmed by the kindness she had received. "I did. Thank you," she said, her voice still shaky with emotion. David smiled and stepped aside to let Sandra, the woman with the clipboard, speak. "Angela," Sandra said gently, "I work with a veteran support organization, and Mr. Obama reached out to us personally to ensure you get the help you need." Angela's heart fluttered at the mention of Obama's name. "We've arranged housing for you in a veterans community nearby," Sandra continued, her words filled with promise. "We'll also assist with medical care and counseling, and we've secured a job offer based on your experience in the Army." Angela's jaw dropped in disbelief. "A job?" she whispered, her voice barely above a breath. Sandra nodded with a warm smile. "Yes, a logistics coordinator role at a local company. They've already reviewed your background and are eager to meet you." Before Angela could process this overwhelming news, there was another knock at the door. It creaked open, and Barack Obama himself stepped inside, his trademark smile lighting up the room. Angela's eyes widened in shock as he pulled up a chair beside her. "Good morning, Angela," he said, his presence radiating warmth and reassurance. "I just wanted to check in and make sure everything's going well." Angela could hardly believe her eyes. "Mr. President, you came back?" she stammered, her voice thick with emotion. Obama chuckled softly, his eyes kind. "I told you I wouldn't forget about you," he replied. Angela shook her head in disbelief, still struggling to understand why this was happening to her. "Why me?" she asked softly, her voice filled with a mix of confusion and gratitude. Obama leaned forward, his voice steady and sincere. "Because, Angela," he said, "when I saw you, I didn't just see a homeless woman. I saw someone who had given everything for this country, and you deserved a second chance. You represent so many others who need help, and your story needed to change." Angela's tears began to fall freely as she absorbed his words. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice choked with emotion. She could hardly find the words to express her gratitude, but Obama's presence, his kindness, spoke for her. Before leaving, Barack Obama stood and placed a reassuring hand on Angela's shoulder. His voice was calm but full of conviction as he spoke his final words to her. "When you're back on your feet, help someone else." It was a simple, yet profound reminder that kindness isn't just about receiving, it's about passing it on, creating a ripple effect that spreads far beyond one individual. Angela nodded, still wiping away her tears, as she felt the weight of those words settle into her heart. She knew, without a doubt, that when the time came, she would do just that. She would be the one to extend a hand to someone else in need. Over the following weeks, Angela's life transformed in ways she had never imagined. She moved into her new home in a veterans community, surrounded by others who had experienced similar struggles, yet now found strength in one another. The support system around her became a beacon of hope, and for the first time in years, Angela felt truly seen and valued. She started her new job as a logistics coordinator, a role that not only utilized her experience in the Army, but also gave her a renewed sense of purpose and dignity. With each passing day, Angela regained confidence, slowly rebuilding her life from the ground up. But the impact didn't stop with Angela. The ripple effect of Obama's act of kindness was felt throughout the community. People who had once walked past Angela without a second thought now reached out to support her, inspired by the compassion that had been shown to her. Strangers, who had witnessed Obama's spontaneous decision to help, began to ask themselves how they, too, could make a difference. Obama's simple act of stopping to listen, to see the person in need, had sparked a movement, one that went beyond just one woman's story. It was a reminder that kindness has the power to change not only lives, but entire communities, creating a network of support, understanding, and shared humanity. As we've seen in Angela's story, small acts of kindness can create a ripple effect that leads to massive, life-changing transformation. Obama's simple decision to pause and listen, to offer support when it was needed most, didn't just change Angela's life. It inspired a community to come together, to help one another, and to make a difference. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes all it takes is one person caring enough to take action. And you don't need to be a former president to make an impact. Each of us has the ability to help others, whether it's offering a kind word, lending a hand, or being there when someone needs it most. So, as you go about your day, remember, you have the power to make a difference in someone's life. If you were moved by Angela's story, like this video, share it with friends, and subscribe to our channel for more stories like this. Together, we can inspire more kindness and create more change.